And away we go. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Daddy's Podcast, as my daughter would call it. We will call it Special Needs Planning Workshops. I am the crazy one where everyone else is outside sweating to death, and I have a space heater on in my office because I am cold. So it is what it is. Hope everyone had a good 4th of July. Uh, by way of introduction, again, for those of you who this is your first workshop in attendance, or if you're watching the recording, my name is Tanner Withers. I am the host of this ongoing workshop series. I'm also the founder and special needs planner at All Ability Planning. We are a special needs planning firm, and we focus specifically on special needs financial investments, benefits, estate, and family support planning. And this is a series that we do typically every week, but we're doing it every other week because of the summer months. So here's what you can expect. Oh, actually, I'm going to back up a little bit, also by way of intro. And the reason I do this, the reason I give an hour of my time to just kind of talk through these is because of the cute little girl on the screen. She is my daughter. She is our connection to the special needs community personally. She has a rare syndrome called Cornelia de Lange syndrome. So I'm a parent just like many of you, first and foremost. All right, let's keep going here. What's the purpose of these workshops? Well, we want to empower families of all abilities to live your life's potential. And the reason for that is because once we receive a diagnosis for our kiddos, it comes with a slew of can't do's. And we recognize they're real. We recognize that, sure, they have a place. But instead of focusing on the can't do's, we found that if we can develop a plan that supports them, that gives them the best chance of success. And so, again, we focus these workshops on financial investments, benefits, estate, and family support planning topics. The goal is to give you, as mom, dad, caregiver, self advocate, whatever role you fill, to give you all of the information you need to take the next step. We want you to take action. We want to make your life better. And that's why we're going to do this. The format, as I mentioned, we do these currently for the summer months on the second and fourth Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. We're experimenting with times. If you have any feedback on a better time, please let us know. But these are meant to be bite-sized. We'll zoom in on one specific topic, many topics in the special needs planning realm, but we'll focus on one topic. We'll do about 15 to 20 minutes worth of content, and then we'll open it up for Q&A for those of you who are in our Zoom meeting. And then, as a reminder, these are always recorded and published within our Facebook group. So if you're not a member of the Facebook group, please find us at Special Needs Planning for All Abilities. Here's the important disclosure. Yes, I give advice and planning for a living. However, what we're talking about today is not advice. It is just education. So if you're unsure on how to act, please don't take this as personal advice. Consult with a professional like myself or somebody else. All right, so here's what I want to talk about today, a little bit of some background on how we found this. I'm always on the lookout for different topics that we can present on, and I was scrolling on LinkedIn and I saw an article talking about this, and I thought, you know what, I think this would be a good topic to cover as a one-off. Initially, our next goal within our mini-series, if you've been following along, we've been doing a mini-series called Transition to Adulthood, which is the move from 17 to 18 for someone with a disability or special needs and all the things that come with that. We were hoping to talk about guardianship. I've got a wonderful attorney on deck, but she is just so busy advocating and doing so much work for the community that she hasn't been able to make it work. And so while we're waiting for her to be able to present to us on that final topic of the transition to adulthood on guardianship, we're going to do some one-off topics, and this is one of them. This is a federal program. This is through Social Security. It's called Ticket to Work. And I wanted to talk about what it is and how it might factor into your family's special needs planning situation. Specifically, the purpose of Ticket to Work is to keep your disability benefits while you're working, kind of. There's an asterisk there, and we're going to talk about that. You'll understand what that means by the end of the workshop here. So let's talk about, as we kick this off, special needs planning and how this plays into special needs planning. Well, determining how much it's going to cost to take care of your loved one with a disability or special needs after you, as the parent or caregiver or guardian or whatever role you fill are gone is probably the core of special needs planning. That's what we're doing. If you've followed along for a while, you know that I like to think of it as two retirements. The first retirement is mom and dad's. The second is the life of the child after mom and dad are gone. Okay, that second retirement is what we're talking about. Well, how much does that cost? Um, an article came out not so long ago that said the new magic number for retirement is $1.5 million, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not. If you think about, I think that puts you at spending less than $5,000 a month over the course of a retirement period, which is not a whole lot. And so if we've got to do that twice, well, that's a lot. Well, how do we figure out how much it costs? It's much more involved than this, but the gist of it is we have to understand what the individual's income is going to be, what the expenses are likely to be, and that tells us how much is needed that we as mom and dad or caregiver or guardian need to have left over when we pass on so that they continue living their best possible life. So, what income can we expect the person with a disability or special needs to have in that second retirement? Well, let's talk about public benefits for disabled adults. I like to break down public benefits into three parts. The first is income, which is what we just talked about, and the different kinds of income available for persons with a disability or special needs would be supplemental security income or SSI. This is typically available once someone starts or once someone turns 18. It is available under the age of 18, but it's based on mom and dad's income and assets. At age 18, it's based on the individual with a disability or special needs benefits, or excuse me, income and assets. The second income type is what's called Social Security Disability Insurance. It says income, but it's insurance. I always confuse that up. Or SSDI. And the subpart of SSDI is what's called the DAC, or the Disabled Adult Child Benefit. In essence, at a high level, Social Security disability income is for those persons who become disabled but have worked a sufficient amount of years or credits, as they call them, into Social Security. And so now Social Security is paying that person a disability benefit. Well, for many of us, our kiddos might never work. And if that's the case, they can still receive SSDI based on their parents' Social Security, and that's called the DAC, or the Disabled Adult Child Benefit. Not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about that one today. The other type of benefit, the second benefit, would be healthcare. Medicaid is probably the most important one we can possibly have. And then Medicare is also a benefit that usually kicks on later in life. And then finally, the last public benefit would be services and supports, often called the HCBS, or home and community-based services. These are going to be Medicaid waivers, okay, which are very much state specific. And that was actually the topic of our last workshop, was all about Medicaid waivers. So this is what's available in the form of public benefits. This is what we're protecting. This is the purpose of the workshop today. And again, specifically, we're talking about the income piece. And as you'll note, we're going to spend the majority of our time talking about SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, for today. So all of these benefits, to an extent, have a means-based benefit. And I think I'm frozen on the camera here, so I apologize. We're going to keep going. Hopefully you can still hear me. There we go. I think we're back. All right, means-based benefits here. These benefits are means-based, meaning it's dependent on an individual with a disability's income or assets. And specifically, SSI and Medicaid have generally the same rules, whereas SSDI and Medicare have generally the same rules. So for SSI and Medicaid, you cannot have more than, we're going to call it $900 a month. It does vary state to state, but we're going to call it $900 a month in income, and no more than $2,000 worth of assets in their name. Assets meaning typically cash, investments, potentially life insurance. Excluded, that's probably the shorter list, primary home, primary vehicle. Anything else is going to be an asset, can't have it above $2,000. Well, SSDI and Medicare have different rules. And again, today, for the purpose of this Ticket to Work program, we're focusing on SSDI, although I'm going to turn on our laser pointer. There we go. Although SSI may be included, but you're going to see why it's typically harder to qualify for. So this is the test. This is how you qualify for these assets. Well, here's the problem. In order for an adult to receive disability benefits, such as SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, the individual must not engage in substantial gainful activity. And that is defined as earning an income greater than $1,550 per month. Okay. I know we just talked about SSI's income. We're talking about SSDI. This is the income limit in order to get SSDI. So for those of us who have children or loved ones with a disability, but are able or wanting to work, this is the number that we have to keep in mind. Well, how on earth then are they going to be able to work maybe more than a part-time gig, earning more than $15.50 depending on where you live and minimum wage and those types of things, while keeping SSDI? I also want to point out that this $15.50 per month, that is only earned income. So any unearned income that may be a part of their life is excluded. They're not counted in this scenario. So again, how can an individual receiving SSDI work without losing SSDI? That's what we're talking about today. The solution is the Ticket to Work program. So let's introduce it, and then we'll talk about how it works. The Ticket to Work program provides individuals receiving disability benefits, and again, it could be SSI or SSDI, but you'll see why it's typically SSDI, between the ages of 18 and 64. So basically, once you become an adult, and then right before Medicare, which starts at age 65, with an incentive to rejoin the workforce. By taking part, they can earn income and enhance their financial independence without losing their vital monthly SSDI payment. And this comes from the article that I read, which is from Special Needs Answers. Continuing, people also have the chance to build skills on the job, improve their standard of living, and enjoy free services such as career counseling. And I'll add my own, to meet people, right? I've talked to so many people who maybe they want their child to work, not necessarily to earn an income, but for the social aspect, for the skills that can be learned, for all of the benefits non-financial that come from working. And so if we want this, how do we do it while still keeping our SSDI? It's also free and voluntary. Okay, so you do not have to do this, and it doesn't cost anything to participate in this program. Well, here's the goal of Ticket to Work, and this comes directly from the Ticket to Work website. The ultimate goal of Ticket to Work is to assist people receiving Social Security disability benefits in reducing their reliance on disability benefits. I love that. Again, if you followed along, you know that the way I like to define special needs planning is qualifying for and taking advantage of as many public benefits as we possibly can while never being 100% dependent on them. This is one other program that allows us to help us not be reliant or dependent on them. The Ticket program also seeks to promote increased self-sufficiency and greater independence for people receiving Social Security disability insurance. Okay, that is why this program exists. To say, hey, you don't need to rely on SSDI, you can actually do something about it, and we'll give you some options on how to do this. So let me break down how it works, and then I want to throw out a couple things to consider as well. If an individual receiving SSDI or SSI, but again, mostly SSDI, earns more than $1,110 per month, it will count as what's called a trial work month. This helps the individual with a disability decide whether or not they are able to return to work without losing SSDI. So in essence, you have more than more than $1,100 per month. There's no limit. You can earn as much as you possibly can to test the waters. to try out a new job, a new skill, a new employment situation, and see if it's going to work without having to worry about losing SSDI. Further, over the course of 5 years, an individual has 9 trial work months. Again, no matter how much you earn, if it's more than $1,100 per month, you have 9 of these trial months to try it out and see if it's going to work. Maybe it's a particular job, or maybe it's just returning to the workforce in general. For a lot of us, maybe it's our first time entering the workforce, or maybe it's the first time in a long time. And our bodies, our mental capacities are not able to jump back in to work. And so it allows us sort of a ramp up period to test the waters. All the while, we're still collecting our Social Security disability insurance check every single month. We get 9 of those months. They do not have to be consecutive. They can be sporadic, spread out over 5 years. However, once those 9 trial work months are used, any amount above 1,550, which is that substantial gainful activity, will result in no SSDI payment. Okay. Really important to understand how this works. What I do want to throw out here is please do not pay too much attention to this 1550. I've seen instances in which people in their minds are thinking, oh, hey, I'm going to base my substantial or I'm going to base my trial work month on 1550, when in actuality it's 1110, which is a smaller amount. Any amount over 1110 is going to trigger a trial work month. Okay, so don't worry too much about this number. This is the number that's really important to keep in mind. This is how it works. It's a very straightforward program. Unlike many programs out there, this is one of those really, really, really solid programs. And it's very straightforward. It's meant to really help individuals with disabilities. On top of that, and not included in the slide deck here, are voc rehab services and employment specialists where they will meet with you, they will work with you, they will help you find a job. And I'm going to talk about that here at the end. But this is how it works. So that takes us to this question of, well, when should you stop worrying about SSDI? If an individual with a disability or special needs engages in really substantial gainful activity, or in other words, is earning a pretty good wage, you're above 1550 a month, you're earning a pretty good income, don't worry about keeping SSDI. SSDI is there to help individuals who maybe once worked and no longer can, or have never worked because of a disability, to get some income. But again, if you can work and you can earn your income, do it. Don't worry about SSDI. The Ticket to Work program will help get you in there and figure out if that's for you. And if it is, and I've talked to so many individuals who they're teetering, right? They're like, I could go to this job and earn $2,000 a month. Great, do it. Right? For all of the benefits that we've talked about, go do it. And don't worry about SSDI. And while you're figuring it out, use the Ticket to Work program to give you 9 months of leeway. I'm going to transition here. Now that we've talked about what it is and how it works, a couple tips, a couple resources, and then we'll end. I think we've got a question in the chat, which I'll get to here at the end. A tip for ABLE accounts. ABLE accounts, where did that come from? You'll see. Number one, why enable? This is a quick review. We've done other workshops on ABLE accounts, so you're welcome to go back and watch those. An ABLE account is a specific account for individuals with disabilities or special needs. It allows them to save above $2,000, which, again, that's the limit. If you want SSI or Medicaid, we just spent the whole time talking about SSDI. Medicaid is the key here, though. If you want those, you can't have more than $2,000 worth of assets in your name. An ABLE account allows an individual to save above that $2,000, and really there's no limit. You can save as much as you want. There's a $100,000 limit upon which SSI would stop paying if you were receiving it, but Medicaid always continues. So that's what an ABLE account is in a nutshell. I'll also point out that ABLE accounts don't shelter income, okay? So again, we've just spent the whole time talking about income. You'll see why this is important. But an ABLE account does nothing to protect or shelter income. It's just assets. But here's why this matters, and here's why I bring it up. Currently in 2024, anybody can contribute money to Enable account up to a total of $18,000 per year, which is the annual gift tax exclusion amount. However, this is why I bring it up. If the account owner, in other words, the person with a disability or special needs, is employed, which we just talked about, using the Ticket to Work program or otherwise, but not contributing to their company's 401k or retirement plan, they can contribute an additional amount. In fact, it's their total earned income amount or $14,580, whichever is less, meaning a total contribution amount of $32,580. So if you're using the Ticket to Work program, you're figuring out if this is going to work. It does. You're no longer getting SSDI, which is just fine, but you still have an ABLE account because you want Medicaid. Now you can pop more money than someone who's not working into an ABLE account. Another benefit to going out and working and taking advantage of a program like this. To end, let's talk about how to learn more and how to get started. This, everything that we've talked about today and much, much more can be found directly on the website choosework.ssa.gov, or you can just Google Ticket to Work and it'll take you directly to the website. The website is awesome. It has frequently asked questions, webinars and tutorials, and help finding a job. I think this last part is probably one of the biggest questions that parents have is how can we help our loved ones find a job? What programs are available depending on where you live? They will put you with a specialist who will help you design a plan that supports your loved one with a disability or special needs. And again, it costs $0. It's a free program. It's totally voluntary. Definitely would encourage you to take advantage of it. And that's Ticket to Work. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I'm going to leave this up here. This is my contact info. If anyone has questions, if you want to schedule time with me, if you want to talk about this program or anything else to do with special needs planning, would love to schedule time with you. I don't charge anything to meet with me for our initial meeting. So you're welcome. I think if you scan the QR code, it'll take you to a meeting link. My email is there. My phone number is there. My website's there. If you're in Utah, my office is in Provo. Be happy to meet with you, even though nobody does, and that's totally fine with me. Otherwise, we're obviously virtual anywhere that has an internet connection. So I'll leave it there. I think I'll go to some Q&A. I think there was something in the chat. I don't know if it was a question. Okay, from Robert. Here we go. Let me go back down. The amount changes annually. Something that a lot of people do not know is the pickle rule for Medicaid. If someone had Medicaid 1 month before SSDI and still meeting SSA eligible, all but difference in income, that person should still receive Medicaid. 1110 is absolutely a good guide. Thank you. I agree. This is an amazing presentation. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate the kind words and thank you for the call out. I don't know the pickle rule off the top of my head, so that's something I'm going to have to look into. But you're right; these limits change every single year. They're also a little bit different state to state. It also depends on how much money you earn. It depends on how many people are in your household and where you live. So, in general, to your point, 1110 is sort of the safe guide, if you will. But as always, finance is personal, and so keep it that way, make it that way. But I appreciate the call out there, Robert. Let me check. I don't think we have any other questions in the chat here, but I'm going to hang out here for just a couple more minutes. If anyone does have questions, and let me check the lives as well. If you do have questions, please feel free to drop them. If you're watching the recording, please feel free to drop questions in the chat, and we'll certainly come back around to them. Otherwise, thank you for being here for another workshop. If you have ideas of other topics you'd like to see covered, please drop those in the Facebook group as well, and we'll make sure that we do a workshop on them. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you, everyone. I'll hang out here for just a couple more minutes. All right, signing off.